Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to another episode of Gills in the Blood TV. Pre-season is officially done and dusted. Saturday was our final fixture of the summer and we ran out comfortable 2-0 winners against Dartford, managed by former Gills great Adi Pennock. Both goals coming from Joe Gbode in the first 20 minutes as we bossed the 90 minutes. We're never really in any danger defensively, and like I say, ran out comfortable winners. So all eyes turn to Accrington away next Saturday. But before then, I just wanted to do a little video focusing on one man who's been the talk of social media in recent days. I'm talking about yesterday's goal scorer, Joe Gbode, rumoured to have been linked to League One outfit Luton. A bid of 500,000 if you believe what you've read, and if you believe more what you've read, us wanting closer to a 7-figure sum. So yeah, just wanted to have a look at Joe's pre-season in more detail. I think it's fair to say that if you look back through old videos of ours, I said throughout 24, 25, I didn't think he was a natural goal scorer. He didn't come across as a natural finisher in the way that he played the game. And I've said for months and months that I think his best position is playing wide off the left. So I'm going to break it down into friendly by friendly. And there was 5 of them that I've watched against Dover Athletic, Reading, Luton, Ebbsfleet United, and most recently Dartford. And I've got some clips to accompany my thoughts on each of his performances. First up was that 1-0 victory back on the 9th of July at the Crabble in our first outing of pre-season as we beat Dover Athletic by a single goal courtesy of Robbie McKenzie. Gareth Ainsworth went with 2 separate 11s for each 45, and Joe was in the second half game and was really bright. Immediately got at his fullback playing off the left-hand side in a 4-2-3-1. Had the beating of said fullback regularly, whether that was on the outside or the inside. What I liked was he was making sure that his defender was running towards his own goal, which if you've ever played the game, you don't want to be doing as a defensive player. It's much more comfortable defending when the ball's in front of you. He linked up with the left back well in that game. That was our trialist, Lenny Serino, for anyone who's been living under a rock for the last month. And yeah, for the first 45 minutes of the summer, it was really encouraging. So let's have a look at them clips now.
Done a rebound. Go on, Joe.
Some really good bits in there, isn't there? Like I say, it's first 45-minute run out of the summer, having been off since the final game of the season. Yeah, straight away, he got the ball at his feet. Didn't mind using a trick or two. There was step overs, drag backs. Was willing to get to the byline, was willing to come inside onto his right foot. There was even a Rabana chucked in as well for good measure. Not everything came off, but it was great to see Joe showing the confidence that he'd finished last season with straight away. And yeah, it was a really promising cameo. Second fixture of pre-season, certainly that I watched, was against League One outfit Reading at the Mems Priestfield Stadium. Again, Gareth went down the route of 2 teams for each of the 45 minutes. And I thought in the first 45, we were really good. I thought we bossed it for large periods. We pinned Reading back, and it was really encouraging to see the link-up play between Joe, who played off the left in a 4-2-3-1 again, Bradley Dack as the number 10, and Seb Palmer-Holden as the lone striker. Yeah, straight away he was switched on. There was loads of good bits. He was willing to run at his man again. Yeah, really encouraged again. So let's have a look at said clips of that 45 minutes and then we'll have a chat about it.
Kept you in, I think. He didn't go out, he just stopped.
First bit's really good for me, not because he does anything extraordinary, but because he switched on. And I think there was probably at times last season when he first got into the side where he'd do one phase of play and then maybe just stop. But what you can see there is he tries to beat his man, his cross gets blocked, but he carries on. He then links up with Serino down deep in the corner, right in front of the Reading fans. Goes and gets the ball again, keeps the phase of play moving, links up with his central midfielders, and he's on the move all the time. And that's a really positive sign for me. It goes back to that thing I said about not moving like a naturals forward last season, and would I trust him in certain situations? And there's certainly been more of that across the summer, and that was one of the first early signs. there's that drop of the shoulder and then that curling effort on his right foot that didn't quite come off, but we'll get to that later on in the episode. He gives us an outlet, doesn't he? I think Glenn Morris was in goal in that game. Immediately looked for him early on if we were defending corners and set plays and crosses coming into our box. And yeah, just really, really good again. There's not much in the way of defensive work that I've picked up on because essentially that's not as fun to watch on a channel, but the main job that Joe Gbode will have will be in an attacking sense. And again, another 45 minutes that was full of encouragement. After that, we played Southampton in a behind closed doors friendly, which was more like a training game. It was split into 60-minute segments, and obviously I've got no footage of that. I wasn't able to watch it. It was behind closed doors, like I've said. So the third game that I watched was against Reading, again at the Preseason Stadium. And probably in terms of all the games that I saw, this was the most flat I felt we were. It was the game I thought we struggled in the most, and it was the game I thought Joe struggled in the most. We played a 3-5-2, and he was paired with Seb Palmer-Holden up front. And I thought, in fairness to both Joe and Seb, we just went a little bit too long and went from back to front far too early and just relied on them chasing balls into the channel, which didn't help us because it kept coming back too quick. As soon as Luton worked out just to drop 10 yards and clear their lines, we barely saw the football. We were 2-0 down before half time, which was always going to make things tricky. Didn't create loads in the way of opportunity, certainly not at the same level as we had against Dover and certainly Reading the previous Saturday. But there were still some good bits from Joe. First clip was of him getting his body between the defender and the ball, which is game awareness. Again, knows that if he gets touched in the back, he wins a free kick in a fairly dangerous area, which he does. He's then getting into better areas in the box from set plays. If you remember his goal against Notts County back in February, that was his first senior goal. I think the keeper should have probably done better on that occasion, but that was the first real sign of Joe showing the type of movement of a centre forward or an attacking player that's more confident in his own game. And we're starting to see it on a more regular basis, albeit in pre-season friendlies. And it's his movement that causes the defender to have a grab at his shirt, which earns us a penalty. Unfortunately, Max Clark didn't stick it away on this occasion, but another promising sign. There's a header that goes straight down the keeper's throat. But he's making first contacts in the box, and when he's not doing that, his movement's good enough to cause panic amongst opposing defenders. So yeah, not loads to work with in that Luton game from an individual or collective point, but still a couple of clips that do show why I think people are going to have more faith in him now. Penultimate fixture of the pre-season was at Ebbsfleet United last Tuesday evening, and he came into the game when we were a goal down at half-time. It was a game where Gareth Ainsworth went with a team plus a bench rather than just two separate 11s. I think he was one of a quartet of changes at the interval. We've not been great first half, and I think it's fair to say that Joe and others added some well-needed impetus into our performance. The first clip, which you'll see in a minute, shows the side of the game that he needs to work on still. His decision making at times can be naive, but again, there was plenty of positive stuff. So let's have a look. Yeah, when presented with that chance shortly after coming on, which would have got us level, he's just got to lift the ball, hasn't he? The keeper's out in no man's land. He's come out and gone AWOL. And when it breaks to Joe, edge of the box, he's got a defender between him and the back of the net. If he clips it over the defender, it's a goal. He's gone along the floor, which unfortunately gives the defender a chance, who still makes a good block. You have to give the defender some credit. But I just think with a little bit more composure and some more learning and coaching, Joe there just lifts it over him and we're 1-1. But what I liked in that game was it didn't deter Joe. It didn't stop him believing. He was always involved in the game. his goal's really, really good, isn't it? Takes 2 defenders out of it with one spin on the edge of the box, and then it's a couple of touches out his feet and a curling effort into the far post, which got us back to 2-1 because we had conceded a very soft penalty shortly before that. And again, my point about him making first contacts and making better positional runs from set plays and crosses coming into the box, he does off his position on the left wing. All right, the headers, one goes to the keeper and one ends up on the roof of the net, I think, or bounces into a not dangerous area. But if you go back 12 months, Joe wasn't getting into them areas. Joe wasn't winning them first contacts. So he's becoming more wise to where he needs to be. And the fact that he's being picked up by more defenders says that people are suddenly aware of his threats. So yeah, not loads of clips, but some really important ones in that 45-minute cameo against Ebbsfleet as he threatened to turn the game round in our favour, and a really, really good goal in a 2-1 defeat. Dartford at Prince's Park was our most recent friendly and the last one of the summer, like I've already mentioned, right at the top of the show. And for me, it was Joe's best performance of the entire pre-season. He was an absolute threat for 90 minutes. This time in a 4-4-2 diamond. So he still had Daki supporting him. And he had Seb Palmer Holden alongside him, certainly in the first 50 minutes. Yeah, slightly narrower formation for us, which meant that Joe had licence to drift wide. And he was just absolutely superb from an attacking point of view, wasn't he? Put us in front after 3 minutes, scored another good goal midway through the half, and there was just loads and loads of good moments. So I'll let you enjoy them, and then we'll have a look back at them.
Hey! Done it again.
He's getting in there when he's never done that. He's going again, mate. On the end of it. And he ain't getting bullied by any League 2 defender.
Wait for Johnny.
Like I say, just really, really good for the entire 90 minutes that he played. Constantly harassing defenders, constantly pushing them back, constantly having them running towards their own goal. His decision making really, really good. It's one thing knowing what he's going to do. It's an entirely different thing stopping him from doing it. And both of his goals show that. It's that drop of the shoulder that we saw in that little package from the Reading game where his effort didn't quite curl back enough inside the far post. It did against Ebbsfleet, and he's got it spot on again twice, albeit with a little bit of luck with the second one where it hits a defender and bounces sympathetically over the line. But the old saying is, if you don't buy a raffle ticket, you can't win a prize. And there's just plenty more really encouraging bits, isn't there? Gets his head up, running from inside to out, which then creates space for Johnny Williams to get on the overload. He doesn't stop, he keeps moving, running towards the 6-yard area. Johnny's ball's flashed across the 6-yard box. Unfortunately, no one gets on the end of it, but it's more game awareness from Joe. Second half, he won a free kick just by standing the defender up, squaring him up and then accelerating past him. There's a really good bit in that second period where he slows the game down, lets Johnny get on the overlap again, and Johnny wins a corner. Couple of headers. The leap is outstanding. He's up against big centre-halves. They weren't small by any means, Dartford, and he's jumping up and above them. All right, he doesn't hit the target with either side, either effort. He's a bit unlucky, but it's another string to the bow. It's another threat that he's going to pose, and yeah, just really like the way that throughout the 90 minutes he knew when to slow things down. He knew when to draw defenders in, and then he knew when to speed the game up, and that's really tough to defend against. Doesn't matter what level you play at. As a defender, you don't want to be playing against someone who's quicker than you. You certainly don't want to be playing against someone who's quicker than you and has got a trick or two, which Joe has. And like I say, just really, really impressive for 90 minutes and was deservedly our match winner. So just to sum up, like I said, if you've watched videos of ours over the last season or so, I've mentioned that certainly 12 months ago, 6 months ago, if Joe Gbode was running through on goal one-on-one, would you trust him to score, to win you a league, to win you a game, to keep you up? I'm not so sure, but there's certainly been signs in the last 5-6 months, certainly after the goal against Notts County, which came in February, and even more so since his goals against AFC Wimbledon and Swindon at the back end of the campaign. Plus, you can add to that the pre-season strikes as well, where I'd be a lot more confident. I think if we'd asked Gills fans how many you think Joe would get in a season 6 months ago? You'd probably say half a dozen tops. Then we're now seeing developments to his football. We're now seeing improvements to his game where you think with proper game time, good minutes, decent service, and continuing to learn, there could be a double figures player in there. That's not to say that we need to put pressure on him and say that he's going to be our top goal scorer or anything and needs to be the one that gets us to where we want to be in 25, 26. But you can't have too many good players. And at the moment, Joe's certainly shown himself to be one of them. A lot of fans have moaned about a lack of pace in our side for a long time. He's got that in abundance. He's got athleticism. He's got power. He's got a trick. He's now playing with confidence. He now looks like he can score goals. Like I said, this has all come about because of this transfer rumour and Luton being linked. Not sure where it's come from and how much is in it, but it's something to talk about, isn't it? If it was up to me, I wouldn't be selling him. I just think with another season of coaching, similar to Sam Gale, if he has a good season and scores double figures, then the hype gets more, the value increases. Dare I say it, if we have a very good season and get promoted, we're in a much stronger position. We've got more leverage with anyone who wants to come and take him off our hands. If he has a similar season to last, then no harm done. I don't think his reputation diminishes because he's still a kid. He's still only 20 years old. Like I said, he's not expected to be the person that carries the goal-scoring burden for us as a football club. I certainly wouldn't take the first offer. I mean, everybody has a price, but I don't think we're in a position as a football club where we have to sell. So at the moment, if you said to me yes or no to letting him go, it's an absolutely categoric no. And one final question I have, so let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. Is Joe more suited to being a centre forward? Or is Joe more suited to playing as a left-sided winger, midfielder, attacker, where he can drift in off the touchline and use that drop of a shoulder and that pace and that trickery to good effect? I'm still in the camp where I think he's better wide left. If you look at his goals this week, the one against Ebbsfleet comes from playing off the wing. The two against Dartford, despite playing as a centre forward, certainly if you look at a line-up graphic, come because he's wide out on the left and he's able to use that pace and that drift inside to get that shot off. So for me, I still think he's better from wide left. I think if you could get him and a Seb Palmer-Holden in the same team and then someone the other side and a Bradley Dack, that would be quite a potent front four, relatively speaking, because we know of our goal-scoring problems. But it's a nice problem to have, and it's great to have one of our own being looked at, if rumours are true. But yeah, like I say, if it was up to me, don't sell at the moment. And like I say, let us know, winger or centre forward. Anyway, that's enough from me. I will be back in the middle of the week with Tony, the Accrington Stanley fan, to preview our first Sky Bet League 2 fixture of the season. If we can get 50 likes on this one, I'd be really appreciative. If you can hit the like button, like I say, that'd be really, really good to get to 50. Please consider pressing subscribe. That'd be absolutely brilliant as well. And until next time, up the Gills.